Hello gamers, welcome to another old school RuneScape video. Today we're going to be taking a look at all of the pets in old school RuneScape and ranking them based on how they look. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video, I would like to take a second to mention a few things. First of all, this is 100% my opinion. It might not match your list, and that is totally okay. My opinion includes all forms of the pet, so any transmogs that are included, but it does not include any time taken to acquire the pet. So it doesn't include like the time taken to get the metamorphic dust from raids compared to the time it takes to get the chompy chick pet. It also does not include the skill needed to acquire the pet. For example, the Inferno pet is going to take significantly more skill to get than a mining pet. This includes all pets that are currently in the game as of February 23rd, 2023, which is when I am recording this video. Two more things, and then we'll get into it. One, I am slightly sick, so if I sound a little nasally or a little congested, that is why. Also, if you do enjoy this video, go ahead and leave a like down there on the thumbs up button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Leave a comment with what your top 3 favorite pets are down in the comment section below, and leave a subscription if you would like to see more content from me in the future. With all of that being said, let's jump right into the list. There are 2 more things I just thought about before we actually jump into the list. I know, I want to get in the list too. There are 4 pets, technically 5 pets, that actually show up on the OSRS wiki as a pet. It is the cat, hellcat, pet fish, pet rock, and toy cat. None of those will be included because you can just buy them or make them or whatever. They're basically not pets. The last thing says that we are able to get 52 pets, but my list will have 50 pets because I will include all 3 of the Dagannoth pets into 1 pet. So that will only count as 1 ranking instead of 3. Okay, now we can actually get into it. Starting off at rank 50 for me is the Little Nightmare. For me, this just kind of looks like a crackhead that hit the wrong crack 3 too many times. And the Little Parasite is not any better. This thing is just straight up nightmare fuel, and I hope I never have one following me. Next on this list is the newest pet, I believe it's the newest pet, added to old school RuneScape. It is the Muffin. This thing just looks like a batch of gravy gone wrong. Regardless of which metamorphosi, I think that's how you say it, you have, it just looks like regurgitated biscuits and gravy. That's all I can see. Next on this list is going to be the Pet Penance Queen. I understand the novelty of this pet. I do. It is very difficult to get. But that's not what we're looking at in this video. This thing just, I don't even know. It's just disturbing. It's not quite nightmare fuel like the Little Nightmare, but it's definitely disturbing. It looks like something straight out of the Upside Down that you would just stare at and not really know how to react. Next up, and being slightly better than the Little Nightmare, is the Nextling. It's kind of in the same boat where it just looks absolutely terrifying and a little bit derpy. It's still kind of nightmare fuel, especially considering it runs. But being the only pet in old school RuneScape that actually runs with the character bought it a few brownie points, and I wish all pets ran with the player's character. Number 46 on this list is going to be the terrible love child of the Little Nightmare and the Nextling, and that is going to be the Abyssal Protector. This thing is exactly how I made it sound. A terrible love child from 2 terrible, hideous, upside down, Stranger Things looking creatures that has ever graced this earth, but it's better because it's smaller. Number 45 on this list is going to be the first skilling pet, and it is going to be the Rock Golem. Now, there's not really anything wrong with this pet per se. It's just kind of like a glob of rocks, and a lot of the recolors aren't amazing. Some of them look cool, but it's not enough to redeem the fact that it's just a bunch of rocks, which is the point. Following our first skilling pet is another minigames pet in the Lil Creator. I don't mind the Lil Creator version, but the Lil Destructor it's like a tank. It's like a reskin of the Pet Grardor with really ugly colors. It reminds me of one of the enemies from Marvel's Endgame. Next up is another skilling pet in the beaver. Again, like the rock golem, there's not really anything wrong with this pet. It's just kind of here. It's kind of cool, I guess. There's not really much to say about the beaver. There's no metamorphosis option for it. It's just kind of, it's there. Slightly better than the rock golem. Following up the beaver is the bushiest tail in all of Gielinor, the giant squirrel. I don't mind the giant squirrel. It definitely stands out when it is following someone, especially the dark acorn version of it. The dark acorn version of it is pretty cool, but the red and the black do not contrast enough for me. Personally, the normal giant squirrel version is much better. It's cute, but it's not good enough to move too far up the list. Next, we will move on to arguably the easiest boss pet in all of old school RuneScape, the pet Kraken. It's basically just a doorknob with tentacles. I'm pretty sure that just sums it up. Number 40 on our list is a lot of people's favorite pets, and I don't quite understand why. It is the baby mole, and especially with the metamorphosis option, it literally looks like a nutsack, and that's how a lot of people describe it. And I guess it's cute for some people, but it's not for me. I'll stick with the normal mole pet if I ever get it, but it'll hang out around my house. Moving in to the top 40 is the Chompy Chick. I don't really know why this one is above all the other ones, to be honest. There's absolutely nothing that stands out. It's just kind of like a bigger chicken, but I guess the beak? Maybe? But it's 39th. Now, the only trio of pets that I have ranked in this game is next, at rank 38. I don't have too much to say about these guys. They kind of look like green highlighters just kind of following you around with some spikes pointing out of the end, which I guess is kind of cool. It's better than, you know, having a little destructor following you. So, they're cool. And next, and I don't know how this thing got up this high, is the Tiny Tempor. Now, the face is terrifying. It's petrifying. It's a blob, and it looks hideous. But it is also really cute for some reason, and I don't know why. It looks like there's some fishes swimming around in his chest, and I like the color way more than the DKs, and it was mainly the color that put this thing as high as it did. The color and the fishy swimming around in his chest. Next up, we're going to be taking a look at the heron. This thing is a lot of people's least favorite pet in the game, which I understand. It's just like a white bird. But honestly, the great blue version of the heron is really, really nice. It has a really nice color. It stands out compared to most others. And I actually think it's a fairly decent pet. It's not amazing. It's very easy to get, but I think it looks nice. Now, number 35 on our list is one that I used to love until I started making this video. Until I started preparing for this video. And that would be the Herbie pet. Now, in my mind, this pet looks way better than it actually does. And it looks like something out of a movie with a headgear on and mammoth tusks as a mask or something like that. I don't really know. I like the colors. I think the colors look good. And it definitely stands out when it is following a player. But honestly, just look at that face. Following Herbie, we have the Cowfight Princess. Now, the thing that put this down a little bit further than what I would have originally put it is the airborne version of this pet. A lot of people like the airborne version. I like the crawling version more. The green very much stands out compared to most other pets. It's slightly bigger, so it's easier to see. But the airborne just kind of looks like you got a floating turd following you a little bit. That really put it down a lot further for me than what I would have liked to put it, but green version good, airborne version bad. One of the middle of the road skilling pets is Rocky, and this is where the Rocky falls on my list of pets. The normal version looks pretty nice. The Ziggy looks absolutely atrocious, but where this thing really, really stands out is Red. Red is beautiful. He looks so amazing, and it's just like having a little red panda following you around. So cute. Now, the first wilderness pet on this list is actually going to be the Callisto Cub. And the newest version of it is basically the exact same as what it was before. It's slightly updated, the graphics are slightly smoother, it's not quite as jagged, but it's just kind of like having a gray rug follow you around, you know? It's kind of cool. The fact that you have to be in the wildy for it is really nice, and that's a nice novelty, but in terms of just the looks, it's not amazing. Now, not too far from the Callisto on the Gielinor map is Scorpia's offspring. This thing is slightly better than the Callisto Cub just because of the tail, just because it's a scorpion. It's got more movement to its body, it's got 6 legs, it's got a tail with a little green tip, and I think it is nowhere near as cute, but I think it looks way better. It stands out way more in a crowd, while the Callisto Cub just kind of gets mixed in with the people. And number 30 on this list, surprise, surprise, another wilderness pet, the Pet Chaos Elemental. A lot of people would consider this pet the easiest pet in the entire game to get, and I think that's a pretty fair argument. The main redeeming quality about this thing is how much movement it has. It bounces up and down, all of the tentacles move, and it very much stands out in a crowd. You'll never miss this thing going around. If you have the HD plugin on RuneLite activated, then there's a bunch of lightning that kind of shoots from it, and that is really sweet. But that's only if you have RuneLite. So if you don't have RuneLite, it doesn't matter. Now, following up the 30 spot in 29th is the Rift Guardian. I don't know what it is about this thing, but this thing stands out so much, especially considering how many different options you have to change his abdomen. There's so many different colors, so many different options. There's white, there's brown, there's blue, there's yellow, there's gold, there's black and red. There's so many options, there's so many ways that you can stand out. And you even have the Guardian's Eye version, which you get from Guardians of the Rift, which is super, super sweet. This is like a significantly upgraded version of the Rock Golem. Next up on this list is the Pet Smoke Devil. Now, not so much the normal version of it, but mostly the thermonuclear version, where it glows yellow, it glows green. I don't know what color it actually is, but the glow on this thing really makes it stand out compared to most other pets, because there's not a lot of pets that have glow. And that's just normal in the game. You don't even need RuneLite for that, I'm pretty sure. Please correct me if I'm wrong. This thing's pretty sweet. It's not a top tier pet. That's why I can't put it any higher. But I definitely think it deserves a spot in the top 30 just because of the little glow effect that it has. This used to be my favorite skilling pet up until fairly recently. And that is the baby Chinchompa. The gray, the red, and the black are nice. And of those 3, I personally think the red is the best one. However, the thing that makes this one of the best skilling pets, in my opinion, is the gold version. If I recall correctly, it is a 1 in 10,000 chance to metamorphosize this thing into a gold version, and the gold version just blows most other pet recolors out of the water. The gold is phenomenal, it stands out so much, but because it is so hard to get, it's really hard to rank higher. And I know that goes against what I said earlier about that was not taken into consideration, but sometimes you have to. If it wasn't for the gold version, this thing would be way, way lower on the list. Next up is going to be the Abyssal Orphan. This thing is cool, and I think a lot of people hate on it more than what it deserves. It's definitely not competing with the top tiers of pets, but in terms of a middle-of-the-road pet, this is going to be one of the better options. It has a really nice color scheme, it stands out, it's got 4 legs, and I'm pretty sure it is bigger than most normal pets. It's not a 1 square pet. I think it's a 2x2 maybe. I don't know. But it's a little bit bigger than most others, so, you know, it's kind of nice. I don't have much to say about the Abyssal Orphan. It's just nice looking. Filling up the halfway spot in our video at rank 25 is going to be Noon. There's a lot of people that really, really like Noon, and I can understand why. It doesn't stand out enough for me. It's mostly just a gray color scheme for Noon with a little bit of blue mixed in there, and the wings are the part that make it really, really stand out. If it wasn't for the wings, you wouldn't even notice that a pet was there. The Midnight version brings it a little bit higher than what it would have been because one of the wings is orange or yellow, whatever color that is, and that really, really makes it stand out. So the Midnight version between the two, in my opinion, is the better version. The next 2 pets we are going to see on this list are honestly interchangeable because they're kind of the same pet. It's going to be Sriracha. And at first, I was not a very big fan of this pet, but it's kind of grown on me over time since it's been released, especially with the color options that come out. The color options don't change the pet too much, but it changes it enough for you to notice a difference. So with the orange and the blue, you can kind of go either way, which one you like more, and I don't think those 2 are light years better than the normal version, like the Chinchompa version. Like the Chinchompa pet, rather. It's cool when it moves in game, it's pretty cool, but is here. Following up right behind that is the Venenatus Spiderling. And like I said, it's pretty much interchangeable with the Sriracha, but the newest version of the pet really makes it stand out. It is more detailed, and it is way more terrifying, and there's something about the spider being far more terrifying that makes it better. That kind of defeats the purpose of what I was saying about the nightmare fuel at the very beginning of this video, but it's something about it as a spider just hits different. I believe this is the second to last skilling pet, quote unquote skilling pet, on our list, and that is going to be the Phoenix. Now, since I started playing Old School RuneScape, this has been one of my favorite pets. And now that we can use no-miss firelighters on the pet, I think it made it even better because you have options. You're not stuck with the red or orange Phoenix like you used to be. You now have the options between blue, green, purple, and white as well. So giving you the option gives it a very, very awesome uniqueness. And just being able to put firelighters in it makes it way easier for you to choose what you're going to get compared to normal. Unless you're an Iron Man, of course. It's a fiery bird. It follows you around. What's not to like about this thing? Rank 21, we are going to put the Jad pet. And the first Jad pet isn't amazing. It's just kind of like a red blob that kind of follows you around. Not great. The redeeming factor is the newest version by completing the Tazar Ket Rax challenges. I'm reading that right off the wiki. I hope that's how you say it. That's the redeeming quality about this pet. After defeating all 6 of those waves, you get an upgraded version, which are the same ones that you see in the Inferno. And that is the brute, the beast, the boulder of a pet that is just gorgeous. And you look at it, and you're terrified, but in awe at the same time. The final wilderness pet, and taking our spot number 20 on this list, is going to be Vedion Jr. This thing was pretty hard to rank just because there's essentially 4 different forms of the pet, and the old versions are not amazing. They look like they're from 2001. They're not great, they're kind of choppy, but the normal versions are more detailed, they're way smoother, they look great. You can actually see the different bones in his arms and his legs, where they're supposed to be, where they connect. He's got more going on in his helmet, in his shield. Everything's just got more going on. It's like a perfect mash of simple but complex. Rank 19 is going to be the Prince Black Dragon. Part of the reason that this thing made it this high is because of how iconic it is and how much nostalgia it brings. There's something so nice about having a 3-headed dragon following you around, especially since it's bigger than just one tile. I don't even know how to put it into words. And this makes it sound like I'm ranking it number 1, but it is far from it. It looks really nice, but it has an issue which a lot of the other pets have, and that is just like, it's kind of like just a black blob following you around. And for the same reasons, Pet General Grardor is pretty much in the same boat. Now, this is a better version of the Lil Destructor. Or more so, the Lil Destructor is a worse version of the Pet Grardor because Grardor came first. At least he's green, at least he's better, I guess. He's wearing Bando's gear, which is pretty sweet, honestly. And he's got a better color scheme in my opinion. He stands out. He walks better. But he's just kind of like a blob that's kind of walking around still. One of the better pets in my opinion, but still a blob. Now this is one that I think I'm going to get the most controversy on, and that's going to be the Tumikin's Guardian. Honestly, I wanted to rank it lower than this even. And this is rank 16, I believe. I stand corrected. This is rank 17, and I did not want to rank it this high. But I felt like it was justified because of the Zebak Transmog. The Zebak Transmog, I think, is phenomenal. I think of all of the metamorphosis options, it is the best of all of them, and I had to put it that high. I had to put it this high solely for that. I think most of the other pet options have too much going on, and you can't even really tell the difference between some of them. Like the Tumikin's Garden and the Eladinis Guardian, you barely tell the difference on, and the 2 damaged versions, you barely tell the difference on. The other 3, I guess I'll call them minion options, are not amazing. They're not the worst, obviously, but Zebak is really carrying this pet into 17th place. Now, Skotos is a pet that a lot of people you see get spooned on, but that's because it comes in a rate out of only 1 in 65 kills. That's because of how long it takes to get the shards to kill the thing. I can't think what they're called right now, but you know what I'm talking about. The dark totems, those things. I think this thing has a really nice color scheme. The purple stands out compared to the black background, and it's not a dark black background. It's more of like a dark to light gray background. I think it looks really, really nice following you. Purple stands out, and it's a lot of people's favorite pets. And I understand why, but for me, it's not one of my tops. Coming in at number 15 for me is going to be the small Kano pet. And this thing stands out a lot to me because of the busted wings, the red in all of the coloring, and the stomach and the face. And I kind of feel like you have a little Lucifer following you around. That's kind of what I think about when I see this thing. And I feel like it's very, very unique. It stands out, but I can understand why people are not a big fan of this thing. It's really tall, it's really skinny, it's kind of awkward looking. Honestly, this has been one of my favorite pets since it entered into the game. Following that up is going to be Pet Krill Tussaroth. Oh, I kind of have the same issues with this thing as I do the Pet Grardor. It's just kind of a blob that's walking around, but it's a bright blob that's walking around. The fact is he's holding two swords, he has all of his spikes, the wings are up, they stand out. It very, very much stands out. But it is low because of how much red there is. I say low like it's ranked 48th, but really, it's ranked 14. That's pretty damn good. But I would have had it higher if it wasn't so damn bright. One of the most sought after pets is the Bloodhound. And that is because it is the goodest boy in all of Gielinor. This thing is awesome. It's got a little deerstalker hat. It's got its tongue sticking out. And who wouldn't want to have a dog following them? Honestly. It's cute. It's got a hat. And it gets you some street cred. Following that dog is another dog. And it is the Hell Puppy. I don't know why I love this thing, honestly. This thing looks like a beast. It looks like it's straight out of Harry Potter, which I'm pretty sure Cerberus is based on. But the red stands out. It's not too much red like Krill. And it's not big enough to take away from what you're supposed to be focusing on if you take it bossing or raiding or even skilling. It's like when you're sitting at home and your dog is laying next to you on the couch and you're just petting it, watching TV. Just chilling, hanging out, vibing. The second to last God Wars pet is going to be Pet Kriara Jr. And the reason this thing has made it higher than most of the others, other than the final one, is because of the wings. This thing is huge, and if it wasn't so big, it would be ranked higher. But this thing is massive, and the only reason that it has made it here is because of the wings. The wings actually flap fully, like it's fully flying, and in game I guess it is, but the wings make it stand out, you know? The wings and the fact that it's actually flying, and you can tell that it's flying, is its redeeming quality, putting it at rank 11. Now, cracking into our top 10 is the Younglif. Now, I think this thing is awesome, and if this thing was bigger, then it would definitely just be a red or a blue blob following you around. But since it's smaller, it's like the size of a wolf, basically. It's like a red or a blue wolf just following you around. I think the blue color scheme is perfect. It's not too bright. It's not too dark. The Corrupted Hunlif is borderline too dark, but the red is very, very beautiful. It's not too bright. It's got some color variations to it, and it looks very, very pretty following you around. If you throw some crystal armor on with it, it just looks like you've come out of Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings. The final skilling pet, and the one that I would imagine all of you guys expected to be the number one ranked skilling pet, is Tangleroot. This thing is awesome. It's just like having Groot follow you around. You have a bunch of different options for you to metamorphosize this thing into. You can take your pick as to which one you think is the best. You have 6 different options. Personally, I think the White Lily or the Crystal is the best. I know a lot of people that think the Dragon Fruit is the best as well. The original normal version of Tangleroot, very iconic, very stands out, and a lot of people freaked out when this thing is added into the game. The only skilling pet in the top 10, and your number one ranked skilling pet, Tangleroot. Following Tangleroot is going to be Vorky. This thing is sweet. It's not too big. It's got a great color scheme. It stands out. And you feel like you have the full-size Vorkath following you around when you have the little Vorky following you. I don't really know what to say about this thing. I think you guys all feel the same way. Most people feel the same way. It's one of the best pets in the game. Its entire body moves when you walk with it, when you run with it. The wings move, the tail moves. The head moves, everything moves. Super, super sweet. My personal favorite God Wars pet is Pet Zilliana, mostly for the reason of its size. The other, I shouldn't say the other three, because there's 4 now. But the other 3 original God Wars pets are just massive. They are huge. They just kind of look like blobs. And like I said, for Kriara, the only reason that thing had a redeeming quality is the wings. This thing has a phenomenal color scheme. It is a normal sized pet, might be slightly bigger. It stands out, and let's be honest, she's a babe. Coming in at our number 6 spot is going to be the Pet Dark Core. More accurately, the Corporeal Critter. A Corporeal Critter is just a beast following you around. You could put the same argument in that you put in with Krill, or that I put in with a little Destructor, with Pet Gardor. And that is just like a blob following you around. And yes, that is the case. But this thing is a very light blob. It stands out, and you just feel like a total badass with this thing following you around. The Dark Core itself, absolutely hideous. It looks like the Little Nightmare's grandchild. I don't even know. Absolutely hideous. Corporeal Critter, almost top 5 pets in the game. Honestly, most of these top 5 can be interchanged. The only one that I don't think you can interchange on the top 5 is our rank number 1. Rank number 5, in my opinion, is the Zuck pet. Now, the little nib pet is not great. It's better than the Pet Dark Core. It's not better than the Pet Dark Core, but it takes away from the actual Zuck pet a little bit. The actual Zuck pet is amazing. You can see it coming up out of the ground like it's coming out of a volcano, and it just rides around on that thing like it's on a surfboard. It's a beast. It moves a little bit. And this is one of the only pets where I actually took a little bit of skill into consideration. If you can actually manage to get the Zuck pet and you don't get spooned on your 1KC, you have earned that thing, and you've earned yourself to be in the top 5 pets. And number 4 on this list is going to be the Ickle Hydra. And this thing has earned the top because of its 4 different forms. It mimics the same forms that you see in the actual fight itself. The colors stand out other than the black version, but while it walks, all of the heads bob like it normally would. The colors are sweet. It has movement. You have to be 95 Slayer to get it. Realistically, the colors are what makes this pet for me, and the fact that its heads bob stands out a little bit. I believe it even has a little bit of a glow effect to it. So, bonus points. With our bronze medal today is the Pet Snakeling, for many of the same reasons that our Ickle Hydra is in rank 4. The reason that it is slightly higher, I think the colors are better. It's slightly smaller, which is a plus in my opinion. And it just looks like you have a King Cobra following you around. Really, really sweet colors. The normal version is awesome. Magma version is awesome. Tanzanite version, in my opinion, is the best of all 3. All 3 options amazing. This is going to be one of the best pets that I will probably ever get in Old School RuneScape. With all of the other pets out of the way, there are only 2 pets left in this game. Taking our number 2 spot in this list is the Omelette, and it is mainly ranked number 2 because of the Omelette. The Omelette itself is phenomenal, and in my opinion, the single best pet in the game if we are not taking into account the metamorphosis options. The metamorphosis options on this thing I don't think are amazing. They're okay. They're not great. The Vasa really brings this thing home. Vasa pretty much solidified this thing in the 2nd spot for me. If it wasn't for Vasa, it probably would have been below the Zuck. So it would have taken the number 5 spot. But the Omelette is amazing. It looks absolutely terrifying following you around. It's like having a Komodo dragon following you around. An albino Komodo dragon following you around on 2 feet. What a stud. An absolute beast in the making. And especially with the metamorphosis options, you have to earn that. And that leaves our number 1 pet as the Lil Zik. Now, the Lil Zik itself, I don't think is amazing. The Lil Zik is not bad, but kind of the same reasons that the spiders were down where they are, the Sriracha and the Venonetta Spiderling, is because their spiders a little bit creepy. But the things that really bring this home is all of the metamorphosis options other than the Lil Nilo. The Lil Nilo is just a gray blob that's following you around. But the other 4 metamorphosis options are phenomenal. The Lil Zarp is what Noon and Midnight should have been. Awesome. Little Sodaseg is almost like a better version of Jad following you around. A tank, and it reminds me of one of the creatures from Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Lil Bloat, it just reminds me of Gabriel Iglesias in zombie form. What a beast. And Lil Maiden, I don't even know what to say. All of these metamorphosis options are pretty sweet. Lil Zik taking home our #1 spot. As I said in the beginning of this video, if you guys enjoyed, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys leave a like on this video. And obviously, if you watch the entire thing, you'll like it. So just hit the button. Also, leave a subscription if you would like to see more content from yours truly. And leave a comment with what your top 3 pets are in the game. With all of that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed my ranking of all of the OSRS pets currently in the game as of February 2023. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace out, and take care.